Hello, and a very warm welcome to all our attendees. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today. My name is Deepak Mewara, and I'm your host. And the topic of our webinar discussion today is designing a study abroad curriculum to prepare high school students for global citizenship. In our webinar today, we'll be covering the following topics. Who is a global citizen? What is study abroad? Different types of study abroad programs, defining the curriculum design, basic steps of curriculum development, and some additional insights into study abroad. All right. Now, since we have very limited time, and without further ado, let's just dive into this webinar. It's an honor to introduce you, Dr. Mohammad Sajid Azmi. Dr. Azmi has spent more than half of his life, that is almost 3 decades, in teaching and learning. He's not only an accomplished educator who has years of international teaching experience, but also an outstanding scholar with a bachelor's, master's, and a PhD in education. In fact, Dr. Azmi is also a double bachelor's with a Bachelor's of Science degree from the University of Bombay. Currently, Dr. Azmi is the head of school academics at Ajman American Private School, UAE. And with somebody with such great experience and impressive credentials, I think we wouldn't have been able to find a better person to present in this webinar for us. So I hand over the session to you, Dr. Azmi. The screen is all yours.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks a lot for calling me in. Here we are, designing a study abroad curriculum to prepare high school students for global citizenship. The topic is very clear. We are looking at 3 different things here. Curriculum, then we're looking at study abroad, what exactly that is, and global citizenship. This is a fantastic saying which I just came across some weeks ago. But nobody can deny what exactly this says. We certainly learn with pleasure. And when we learn with pleasure, we never forget that here. So this is something which attracted my attention. And this is one way you could realize how study abroad would be effective. Now, this is another perspective of the study abroad. If you look at these headlines, these are some recent headlines which says nearly 3 in 5 employees plan to work abroad this year. 3 in 5, that's roughly more than 60%. They plan to work abroad. There's another headline which says over 28 lakh Indians went abroad for work in the past 2.5 years. So this is pretty staggering. If you look at the numbers, I was looking at the research work. Every year, lakhs and lakhs of students and people are going abroad. They plan to work abroad. If you look at India, what's happening in India, 3 million people have gone so far in less than 3 years. So that's roughly 1 million every year going and working abroad. This is another exciting graph if you look at this. Now, what this shows is, this shows the percentage of people across the world who are willing to work abroad. And I was surprised when I look at very developed country, people from developed countries also are planning to work abroad. If you look at the last section, the last column, Egypt, India, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Venezuela, these countries, more than 90% of people are willing to work abroad. And then again, there are some very developed countries, people from UK, people from, in fact, the whole world, if you see, everybody wants to work abroad. So the question is, can we still live in denial? Can we still live without knowing about what study abroad is? So here, the obvious plan of this session is to start with what designing the curriculum is. That is the main. And then we look at what study abroad is, and then going to citizenship, and finally reaching to what global citizenship is. Designing curriculum in a simple manner is the process of planning formal learning experience. But yes, it's a very vast topic that requires a separate webinar, exactly how it's done. But that's exactly what we educators do. We keep on designing curriculums now and then. We're very well versed with that. Study abroad, as the name suggests, in short, that's an opportunity to pursue educational programs in a foreign country. And citizenship, it's a relation between individual and community where the two are bound by reciprocal rights and duties, where everybody is aware about rights and duties. So now, how can we be global citizen and what global citizenship is all about? Here's a very simple picture. I like this because the way this picture has been drawn, we see children building up this world. So these children are aware of the wider world. So a global citizen lives sustainable, wants to tackle social justice, respects and values diversity, is open and curious, takes action towards equity. This is all what a global citizen would features or characters a global citizen will have. But let's look at global citizenship as per what UNESCO defines it. It's a global citizenship education has been is become a part of the UN or UNESCO Charter. The aim is to empower learners of all ages to assume active roles both locally and globally, building powerful, peaceful, tolerant, inclusive, secure societies. That's a definition by UNESCO. Now, since we realize that majority of us, the whole world is moving around, the whole world, the word global makes the whole world nothing but a small town, a village where people we are moving around. We're already moving around. So it's very important if you want to be successful, it's essential to understand how the world works, how the people around the world, how are they connected through trade, through media, through internet, how to travel, how are the politics of these countries. It's why again it's global citizenship education is important because it broadens the sense of normal. What's considered normal in our countries or in our hometown would not be normal in other countries and other places. That's why it's important to know how the world functions. All these things are usually beneficial to being employable in the 21st century. We are already in the 21st century. And we're talking of how rapidly and how fast growth is happening. So for our future children, for our children who will be working globally, it's very important that they realize the importance of global citizenship. Let's look at what study abroad program is. The name is simple, but yes, it's much more than just the word and going abroad and having fun. It's an opportunity to pursue any educational program in a foreign country. Now, the idea here is some people study abroad to develop some language. It could be some skills to improve the ability to work. But in most of the kind here, every type of course which is done in foreign country, in foreign land, we love that, we enjoy that. And when you enjoy it, you learn it better. Now, study abroad is simply a program in different countries, but yeah, you could take classes in different ways. It's not necessary that you be there for a longer period of time or you have to spend a full year. But yes, when you're studying abroad, you get a first-hand experience and hands-on learning. That's what we call. Students of social sciences relate a lot to study abroad and they benefit the most. Student of environmental studies, student of anthropology, they benefit a lot because the whole subject is based on that. But it's not just that. Many of the subjects are dependent upon study abroad. I'll just get into the types of study abroad programs so that you get more idea. You see, there are 4 basic types of study abroad programs. There could be semester programs. That's one of the most common ones. Students who are interested in studying abroad during 1 semester or 2, they spend there, they get some credit and come back. Then there are summer programs, which is again very famous with students. During summertime, during the vacation time, the students travel abroad, get some courses, learn some skills, come back to the home country. Then again, there could be high school programs, specially designed for high school students. When I say high school, that's 9 to 12. And again, that happens during the summer or winter vacations. There are also certain intersession programs that takes place during a very short-term breaks. It could be just a weekend where students would go along with the teachers, would get the knowledge of that area of the country where they're going and what they're learning about, and then they come back and apply it. These are the 4 basic types of study abroad programs. Now I want to go back to curriculum designing. To teach children to study abroad, many a time what happens is the moment you say there's a foreign tour or you're sending children out, the idea is that children are going there to have fun. So the purpose of this particular session was to learn how can we, why should we rather get study abroad programs into our curriculum. But before that, for some people who have few questions about curriculum, I'll just go to this basic definition of curriculum. Curriculum basically is everything that happens in and around the school. There are 5 major components of that, starting with the learner's capacity, then the academic objectives and standards of an institution or organization, the content they're studying, the learning experiences that they have, and then the evaluation or assessments. So everything that happens into a school or into a university basically is a curriculum. So what we're talking about is, we're talking about integrating study abroad programs into the curriculum, adding it into every aspect of curriculum, right? Starting from the aims or objectives, then to the content, then planning the learning experience, and then setting evaluations. To define curriculum curriculum design, that's again very technical. I'll not get into the technicality of it, otherwise it gets a bit pretty boring. But yes, if you want to design a curriculum, there are many models to do that. But in a simple way, it's you plan out intentional planning rather of and organizing learning strategies. So you take up whatever is happening around the school, you set a plan for that, and then you plan to meet your defined outcomes. What your outcomes would be, how do you meet those outcomes? That's more concerned with than just learning materials. When I say curriculum designing, it's not just creating some content, some course, but it's planning the whole thing. Like I said, all the things should be planned right from the objectives to the content to the learning strategies, and then coming back to the assessment. All of that would be planned. But before that, for some people who have few questions about curriculum, I'll just go to this basic definition of curriculum. Curriculum basically is everything that happens in and around the school. Now, a development process of the curriculum design would basically rely on three major facts: what is going to be taught, who will be taught, and how it will be taught. Again, going back to the similar question of the components of curriculum design. Each of these components affects and interacts with other components. So what will be taught is affected by who is being taught and vice versa. Now, if all these components, if you look at it, there are certain essential considerations that you'll have to keep in mind when you sit down to plan out a curriculum. These are 6 simple steps, which if utilized well, they could result into very good curriculum plan and to a course. Let's say you want to plan out to teach, it could be history or civilization of Arab world or civilization of Europe. So the problem would be, what exactly do you want your students to learn about? And that's planned purposefully, that has more impact, that has more effect. So at this point, these 7 considerations which are there for curriculum development, what exactly is the issue? Then the students who want to get that content, who want to be the beneficiaries of this of the topic. Then the changes that you plan for the learners, important, and the content will put down. And how will you do that? How will it be all delivered? These are basic, this is like putting up the whole curriculum development into simple 6 steps. In the end of it, here you plan out certain evaluation strategies. The question would be, how do you go about all this? And then there would be different ways of doing it for different subjects. So if you want to add study abroad programs into your curriculum, you'll have to start right from this beginning of the year. When the teachers sit down to make the year plans, the teachers could consider in different subjects, it could be integrated in different ways. These are certain examples of subjects. Like I said, social sciences is a very, very important subject, and that majority of social science is all about the world around them. So students could benefit a lot if they study abroad in these courses. Social science teachers could plan when they start teaching the content. They could think about the countries where the children plan to go and then teach a lot about them. So knowledge about the host country and the region which is there, that could be gained through social sciences. And again, about travel, stay, and the culture of the host countries. If the children plan to visit US or they plan to visit Africa, through social sciences, the teacher could plan to teach them about this region, the history of this region, the languages which are there in this region, the culture of this region. When that is added to your course, then the students would enjoy that, will be able to relate to it, and would try to pursue, and the students will be encouraged and motivated to take this study abroad program. The language teachers could be multiple languages taught in school. They could acquire language skills, how language can be learned effectively. School can add additional elective languages. Many schools nowadays have foreign languages added into the curriculum. We know about schools where French and Spanish is common. Many schools are going and learning German and Chinese these days. I know schools in UAE where Chinese is very important. Children are learning Chinese because they want to go into China and they want to learn about the culture and the trade which happens in China. Then the economics teachers could plan about the political and economical status of various countries and regions. That could again give children an idea. And if that's already a part of the economics plan, children would enjoy to go abroad, know more about it, and would again relate to it. One very important aspect of economics is the skill to analyze data. If the teachers teach the children about how data is analyzed and how reports are read, specifically upon the international, socio-economic trends, the children would know what's happening around them. It become easier for them to look at report and to identify what's good and what's not. And then there are many other life and health skills which could be taught to our kids during the courses so that they can become, it will become easier for them when they go abroad. The next year, what else could the schools do to improve education abroad, that is the study abroad opportunities and services? As a school, what schools and even colleges could do that is, they could include credit for the study abroad programs. Many schools, they offer bonuses for that. Faculties, the teaching load of the faculties could be adjusted so that the faculty can have time to plan more. Certainly, if the teachers have to plan something special, they would need an extra time. So a faculty could be given some extra time to plan. And then if faculty could be left, there could be additional faculties always in the school or in colleges who could travel with the students abroad. Faculties could be challenged and administration to identify target and majors and minors of including study abroad experiences. What majors and what minor students choose in the high school and what would they like to do in the universities. If they find out that and where they would like to study, that could again chart a better map for them for future. Schools could plan to participate into international education competitions. If the children start visiting abroad in these competitions, it's the same thing. They will learn more there. There could be some partial semesters and spring breaks in collaboration with foreign countries, foreign universities. There could be diversity in the student participation. You could include many different students from different backgrounds, from different economic zones, from different strata of society, from different countries, so that they could learn more and they could experience more. Further, you could also have different locations, going to the same locations here and again, that again students get bored with that. So there could be diversification of locations. Students would learn from different locations and they'll be more interested into going into these locations. We can integrate the global education experiences across the whole curriculum, and there could be faculty exchange programs where university or school faculty, school teachers would visit abroad, foreign countries, would learn from the countries and the experiences and the methods that the teachers use there and utilize that and apply it into their own school. Then removing barriers, one common barrier which generally is assumed is financial aid. So the schools could plan financial aid. How could students go around for loans? How could they manage that? If there are any scholarships, the schools can remove those barriers. And that barriers are removed, many students would be motivated. And then again, promoting study abroad experiences as a culminating undergraduate experience that would clear assessment of learning outcomes. End of the semester, end of the course, student would have a clear assessment based on the study abroad program. We've spoken a lot about study abroad, just having an idea about where exactly people go and which part of the world do the students generally visit. We see students, mostly if you see, they go into United Kingdom, they go into Italy. It's more of Europe where they go. And there are other countries also which they like to go. The schools could look into the places which are easier to access, easier to travel for children, where already there are set programs, and they could send the children easily without any security issues, and their parents would be interested in sending them. Based on that, the schools could plan their whole study abroad programs. And I would like to say there is a clear need for promoting international education as a core value for schools. All the schools, if they start looking at international education from the value of it in the coming generation, what is the data which I shared with you, 80%, in some places, 90% of the people in countries, they want to travel abroad. They want to work abroad. So if that is the status, if everybody wants to go abroad, why not prepare them in the schools for that? So that's the reason I believe that international education should be a part of the core value of a school. It should be fully integrated into the current institutional objectives and initiatives. And it is only through the integrated efforts of the administration and faculties, alumni, as well as the school, and we can integrate internationalization and establish a community where international undertakings are no longer value-added events, but are seamlessly woven into throughout the culture of a campus. For this to happen, the belief is important. That was the purpose of this particular session. This small session was only to get an insight into what exactly study abroad would be, and how can that be added into the curriculum. Again, everything will have to start right from where the teachers start to plan. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you so much for this energetic, engaging, and insightful presentation. Really.